Welcome back, folks, on Comeback Sports. As we just finished up our segment with Coach Duarte, we certainly had a lot of fun talking about the NCAA tournament, too. And at the end of the day, we have no idea what we're talking about. So it's good to just throw stuff up on the wall, seeing if it sticks. But our next topic, Brennan, I know you wanted to get into your football guy. And we were texting each other back and forth over the last couple of days about what was going on with the Pats. So you can take it away and start things off, my friend.
I mean, I still call this the Patriots free agent frenzy because they just went out and picked up a ton of players, more than any other NFL team has at this point. And they're the ones that are really making the moves right now and I should say making waves right now when it comes to free agency in the NFL. And it's good to see. And, I'm wearing my Patriots shirt here because we're hopefully going to go back to the days of old, the days of the boogeymen. And we're going to be having Sam Darnold seeing ghosts again with Judon coming off the edge because I'm excited for this team now. I think this team has gone from obviously being a 7-9 team to I've got this team at least winning 10 to 12 games and making the playoffs at this point. So, that's a huge step up. And I think this free agent frenzy has been huge. I mean, you go out and you get the two best tight ends that are available and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. We all know what happened last time we had two tight ends and how good our team was then. So now you have the two best tight ends, or arguably two of the best tight ends in the league, in the same offense. And I'll tell you right now, as a coach, double tight is one of the hardest sets to cover in the NFL, okay? And coaches can argue about it. It may be easier to cover in college and in high school. But in the pros, double tight end is a really tough set to cover. So now you got both those guys out there. You can mix them in. You can even put one of them in at fullback, have him come out of the backfield like a Hunter Henry. I could see him playing a little fullback, just moving them around because they can do so many different things. So I'm really excited about that. The two wide receivers that we picked up, I think it's one of those things where hopefully Bill Belichick sees a little bit more than I do with those two because Nelson Aguilar, I think both of these guys are still developing. Nelson Aguilar has been a little inconsistent. He showed a little bit of flashes of consistency in Las Vegas, which was good. And Kendrick Bourne, I will say, has everything physically to be an outstanding wide receiver in the game. I still think he's just kind of young and still developing. But the Patriots have proven that we can win with wide receivers in the past. I know we had the greatest quarterback of all time, but with the wide receivers that we've had in the past, like a David Patton or a Troy Brown or a Wes Welker or a Julian Edelman coming out of nowhere, so hopefully these two can be in that mold. But yeah, I'm really excited with the moves that they've made so far.
Yeah, I think this was an absolute necessity for this Pats team. And one of the biggest things, too, and folks have been talking about it all week, is that they just haven't drafted well from 2016 to now. It's looking like even the 2019 draft wasn't great, with N'Keal Harry. And obviously Chase Winovich was a good pick, but then Jawan Williams, we haven't seen him at all really that much with the Pats. So, because you don't draft that well in those years, there's two things. You've lost talent over the last couple of years and haven't replenished it through the draft. But then number two, those players that they would have hoped to have kept from the 2016 and 2017 drafts, if they drafted well, those would be the guys that they'd be re-signing under the salary cap, like you saw with Deatrich Wise, because he was in the 2017 draft, I believe, with just the four players. I think it was him and Derek Rivers were two of the four players. But, because they didn't have the good drafts in those years, those players that aren't on the team anymore are up for new contracts. So that allows the Pats to then go out and spend money. And it's been a while since they've spent a lot of money. I know they went out and got Stephon Gilmore a couple of years ago, which was obviously a great signing for the Pats. But this has just been unbelievable. I mean, they got Jonnu Smith. That was the guy I wanted them to get at tight end. And then the next day they come back and get the other top tight end target in free agency and Hunter Henry, which is nuts. And I didn't think that was going to happen, especially after they got Jonnu Smith. So that's going to be unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to that. And then the other thing is the way that they structured the contracts. A lot of these players aren't making big money and their cap hits aren't big this upcoming season. So they were able to fit their money under the cap for 2021, which still allows them to make a move either at quarterback or sign a couple of more guys or do whatever they want to do. And then, they have more money coming in years down the road, but the cap's going to spike again after they do a TV deal. And then, the Patriots can do some reshuffling then too. And they can even, if guys aren't performing, they can release them as well. So not only the signings and all the guys that are coming in, they seem to fit well together offensively and defensively, but just the cap flexibility that they have now because of the way that they structured these deals is great.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been saying on this show for weeks now that, we had $53 million in cap space. We had the fourth most in the league to spend. And I've been telling everybody, if they didn't spend any money, then it would just show that they didn't want to win. And they just didn't want to attempt to win when you have that much money. But clearly they want to win, and that's good. That's what we want to see as a fan. That's what you want to see as a football fan or an NFL fan, and definitely as a Patriots fan. They've clearly gone out, they've invested some money, and they've showed that they want to try to win, get back in the playoffs, and get back in the conversation, that's all we want. I don't know if this is a Super Bowl roster, and that can be a debate maybe once the season starts. But, and there's still arguments out there that they might be going after Leonard Fournette and still be trying to bring back James White. So there could be some other pieces that get added in here over these next few weeks.
No question. I think, over the last couple of years too, most of their players were complementary players. They had guys that were solid players and good role players, but needed to fit around talent. But when your whole team's like that, you don't have the guys that are game changers. Now you add these two tight ends. I think Judon is, we'll see what happens with him. He's been a guy that's been a good role player, which I think in the Patriots system, he might even, accelerate that role and be an even better player there. And then we'll see what happens with some of these receivers with the role that the Pats have for them. That might make a difference, especially with their speed and athleticism.